It would appear that the morphological origins of the breed have ancient roots and derive from the crossbreeding of the Roman Molossians with shepherd dogs present in the area when the Romans, having crossed the Alps and gone through Switzerland, settled in the fertile green Germanic countryside, founding the city that later gave the breed its name. Naturally, as for all the oldest breeds, it is very difficult to be precise regarding its origins when they are lost in the dawning of civilizations. Very few signs and various hypotheses exist, and there are also several points of view concerning the Rottweiler. Some support the involvement of the ancient Tibetan Mastiff, a Molossian which in more recent times to those we discussed is thought to have arrived in Germany as a result of the Huns, a barbaric race of probable Asian origin. Others support the breed's direct derivation from a dog of cattlemen of nearby Switzerland. Also the Celts seem involved in the formation of the Rottweiler breed, with the Molossians which followed them during their migrations. The latter hypothesis is supported by some remains found in Munich relating to a settlement of the Celts dating back to the 5th century BC. One is unable, therefore, to state with certainty which of these Molossians is the direct predecessor, but the most rational opinion is thus the one according to which more than one of them contributed to form the breed, the form that began to take shape and become recognizable at the time of the blossoming of the town of Rottweil. The clearest records in this respect are some inscriptions of the era in which the Rottweiler already had its own physiognomy and already had links with the German city. In these inscriptions, the ancestor of the modern Rotti people is depicted with a leather sack round his neck that contained the day's earnings of his herdsman. Besides looking after the earnings and its master, the powerful Molossian also had to guide and protect the herds of livestock during their movements through the countryside, and the overnight stays in open areas that were often treacherous and associated with bad company, until their arrival in the areas of cattle farming and livestock markets. This was precisely the Rottweil area, which was a big and important livestock and butchery market at the time. The butchers of the era also used these powerful dogs to pull their carts of butchered meats and protect their goods and earnings. This is precisely why at that time the dog came to be known as the Metzgerhund, or butcher's dog. Its use as a guardian and herd dog lasted until the start of the century, when, to promote railway transport, the shifting of herds by land was forbidden. Then the breed risked extinction. Its salvation derived from its sublime traits of fearless guardian and protector that attracted the attention of German soldiers, who included it in their war plans. The German and Austrian armies and later on the police used it actively, and in the first half of the 1900s, therefore, the breed was diffused in Europe, mainly as an assistant performing tasks of a military nature. If this contributed to the breed's salvation, it also contributed, however, to the alteration of its character traits, since, given the wartime needs in selecting the breed, enhancement of the aggressive attitudes of dominance, constitution and temperament was desired, while omitting and lessening the opposite and balancing attitudes of docility and tameness. Fortunately, there have been some enthusiasts who instead gave the Rottweil dog a civil position in their homes, and who correspondingly selected them, trying to maintain its original characteristics that envisage a strong and brave but balanced dog, and that, if managed wisely, knows how to be tame inside its own family group. The first club of the breed was founded in Germany in 1907. The purpose of the club was to push breeders to select seriously both in terms of morphology as well as the protection of the personality characteristics. It is precisely for the preservation of natural attitudes and character traits, in addition to physical health, that the by now popular dog shows have been supported by a work test for many years. The Rottweiler belongs to Group 2, thus defined, dogs of Pinscher and Schnauzer, Molossian and Swiss cattleman type. Instead, by definition of the standard, that which deserves particular attention belongs to the type work dog, watchdog and guard dog. Work dog means that the dog is genetically predisposed and built both physically as well as in character terms to have a strong work attitude. The need to have clear tasks within a pack, to have a close collaborative relationship with a leader. Its mind must be fully formed and stimulated by a close emotional relationship, but also an executive attitude must be defined and worked with a strong and sporting obedience that will develop it and satisfy the natural predisposition of which the dog is genetically endowed. Watchdog and guard dog means that the dog has an acute sense of possession of its pack and of things it thinks are his, and a strong propensity in identifying territory as his. This results in it being jealous and very protective of its pack and its possessions, and showing hostile behavior towards strangers who approach territory which the dog considers as its own, and will show its intent to control with all its strength, fearlessness, and dominance. The Rottweiler is a medium-large to large-sized dog, strong, neither stocky nor lean, nor hound-like, nor high on its limbs. The exact proportions of its structure require it to be compact and powerful, evoking great strength, elasticity, and stamina. The length of the torso measured from the point of the sternum to the sciatic protuberance should not exceed the height at the withers by more than 15%. It descends from sociable and pacific stock, and by nature loves children. It is affectionate, obedient, trainable, and loves working. Its imposing appearance gives some indication of its origins. Its behavior is sure, strong-nerved, and intrepid. It is always vigilant and attentive to its surroundings. Head. Cranium. Of average length, wide cranium between the ears. The frontal bone, viewed from the side, is only moderately convex. The occiput is well developed, without protruding excessively. Stop. Pronounced nasofrontal stop. Physiognomy. Nose. The nasal channel is straight, wide at the base and with moderate tapering. The well-shaped nose is more wide than rounded, always black, with proportionately large nostrils. Muzzle. Should never be long or short compared to the cranium. Lips. Black, adherent, with closed commissura laborium oris. The gums should be dark. Jaw. Both the upper as well as the lower jaw should be strong and wide. Cheeks, pronounced zygomatic arches. Dentition, full 42 teeth, strong, with the upper incisors having a scissor-type closure over those of the lower jaw. Eyes, medium-large, slanting, of dark brown color, with very adherent eyelids. Ears, medium-large, hanging, triangular, attached high up and well distanced from each other. Well-inserted ears which, when turned forwards, will confer greater width to the cranium. Neck, powerful, moderately long, very muscular, slightly arched, lean, without dewlap or slack skin under the throat. Torso, dorsal line, straight, strong, solid. Renal area, short, strong and deep. Crupper, wide, of average length, slightly inclined, neither straight nor steep. Chest, spacious, wide and deep, approximately 50% of the height of the dog at the withers, with well-developed chest and well-hooped ribs. Abdomen, unretracted sides. Tail, natural, an extension of the upper line, hanging when at rest. Limbs. Front. On the whole, the front limbs viewed from the front are straight and not narrowing. Viewed from the side, the limb is straight. The angulation of the shoulder should be around 45 degrees. Shoulder, sturdy. Humerus, very adherent to the torso. Foreleg, vigorously developed and muscular. Metacarpo, slightly elastic, strong and not rigid. Feet, round, closed digits and well-arched hard plantar, short, black and strong claws. Rear. On the whole, viewed from behind, the rear limbs are straight and not closed. In the resting position, the joint between the thigh and the leg forms an obtuse angle. Thigh, of average length, wide and very muscular. Leg, long, strong and with wide musculature, vigorous with strong tendons, well angled, not rigid. Feet, slightly longer than at the front, equally compact, arched with strong digits, without dew claws. Movement. The Rottweiler is a trotter. The dorsal line remains solid and relatively still. The gait is harmonious, sure, powerful and smooth with a good stride. Skin. The skin on the head is taut, but slight lines can form when the dog is attentive. Coat. Quality. It is made up of hair and underfur. The hair is of average length, hard lines can form when the dog is attentive. Coat. Quality. It is made up of hair and underfur. The hair is of average length, hard, adherent, compact. The underfur must not stick out from the hair. The hair is slightly longer on the rear limbs. color, black with intense brown-reddish dapple, well defined on the cheeks, on the muzzle, under the neck, on the chest and on the limbs, as also above the eyes and under the tail. Height and weight. Height of males from 61 to 68 centimeters. Weight around 50 kilograms. Height of females from 56 to 63 centimeters. Weight around 42 kilograms. The Rottweiler is a rustic, powerful but agile dog. Even if its physical construction, aimed more at power, does not produce a high-speed dog, it has notable sprint capacity when motivated. The dog must be calm and serene, but immediately ready for work, play, or for any request from its leader of its fine physique. Its attitude towards work must be absolutely present and must be well developed and wisely channeled in a form of exercise that promotes physical and mental training, activation and the venting of instincts, and a continuous, steady but respectful hierarchical definition. In the same way, it must also show tenacity and strength. Its balance and fidelity to its master must be immediately comprehensible. Boldness should not be confused with confidence, but instead one must always bear in mind that the confidence in itself comes from strong nerves and from an excellent balance, which ensure that even in front of strong stimuli, our Rottweiler maintains control of its own instincts. The Rottweiler is very dominant and territorial. These are the qualities that make it into a powerful and fearless watchdog, which is capable of accepting and facing up to any type of challenge. This is why it is essential that the docility present in the dog is developed to maximum levels with serious and hard socialization work with strangers and hierarchical definition in the family group. By following the same logic, not only will it be unnecessary, but it would be wrong and dangerous to indiscriminately push, without full knowledge of the facts, aggressiveness, distrust and dominance, which instead should be controlled and well managed from a young age. Knowledge and experience will make the difference between a solid, well-grown adult dog, confident and serene, a perfect subordinate, companion and fearless protector, and a dog inexpertly brought up as arrogant, over-dominant and possessive, that without correct education will be unmanageable, frustrated and potentially dangerous. Love for the breed consists in one's deepened acquaintance with its specificity and in the willingness to learn to enhance its quality, balanced with and in respect of the splendid animal that our Rottweiler will turn out to be, ready to give its life for our safety. Anxious and attentive will be more ideal for a family, where however there is the desire on the part of adults to devote the necessary time to the growth, education, release and later on to training the new canine friend. The best thing would be to make the puppy's arrival coincide with one of your holidays or when you have extra spare time. A dog is an animal of fixed habits, and every change to its environment and its daily routine is a cause of stress for it. The puppy, besides being small and inexperienced, will until now have psychologically relied on the security provided by its known environment and by the pack of siblings. The move to the new environment and the separation from its pack will be a reason for confusion and insecurity. If it arrives home with everything already in place, definite and organized, it will allow the puppy to settle into the new environment in the most gentle and most serene manner possible. You should also avoid taking it out immediately for walks that will cause it more stress than pleasure. By avoiding this, you will also avoid immediate contact with other people and unknown dogs. Meetings which will be absolutely necessary after a few days, but decidedly premature at this delicate moment, and that would be the cause of additional confusion now that the dog must focus on you as its new pack. The most common error, apart from that of immediately running to the vet or taking it for walks round the block or the city, is to over-cuddle it, and the tendency to overprotect it and make too much fuss upon the puppy's arrival home. Some tenderness is surely a good idea, but be careful not to exaggerate. In addition, one tends, when putting it on the ground, to leave too much space at its disposal. Letting it move all over the house or the garden is not okay. It will certainly tend to patrol the territory, as it is unknown, but territory that is too big will be a cause of stress. In reality, a space the size of a room is more than sufficient to initiate our puppy to a new life, to new rules and the need for new toilet training and social education. The main rule when talking about correct growth in a puppy is that which says, when your hands, eyes, attentions and intentions are not on your puppy, it should be confined to its kennel. Let us make sure we understand this concept well. In nature, puppies are not free to run around far and wide over the entire territory of the pack. Their lives and freedom are managed by the adults, who decide when it is time to go out and when it is time for meals, rest, and play. The meal times, for example, are when the adult dogs return from work, hunting. Playtime is when the adults have available leisure time, or have time to play or to oversee the puppies' play. But when the adults leave for the hunt, the older dogs or some subordinates, authorized to oversee them, stay in the vicinity of the den, and the puppies are confined to the same. It doesn't matter whether they like it or not. It is for their own good, and they accept it as such. Naturally, it is accepted by the little ones that appreciate the sense of security that the den offers them. By keeping this natural image in mind, we're able to do much for our puppy's growth, learning to assess its needs in a less human way, to bring it up to the best of its potential, and, it might seem strange, in the simplest way for us. Therefore, you should decide on an initial confined place like a room, the kitchen for example, or a garden enclosure, where you will put its den, the Varry kennel. The Varry kennel, or transporter, is the cage that is used for transporting dogs and also during air travel. Getting your puppy used to the Varry kennel will be easy, useful and natural. It will be very difficult and at times impossible to do it without causing profound stress when the dog is adult. The Varry kennel will allow you to manage your puppy's freedom and to begin the home and toilet training correctly. If it comes up against an obstacle while running about, for example a sweeping brush, and knocks it over, thus frightening the puppy, do not run and pick the puppy up to protect it, since in reality what you will achieve is to confirm the need to get frightened and escape. The correct attitude in these situations is to react calmly and serenely, with indifference. If possible, leave the object on the floor. You can pick it up at the first opportunity, but since it will happen often, by leaving it on the floor, the puppy will treat it as a game. So get up, and as if nothing had happened, put the object back and attract the puppy's attention to one of the toys that you've prepared for it. Your indifference to the occurrence will mean that the dog, having assessed your reaction, thinks, "Ah, it's had no effect on the boss. Obviously there's nothing to worry about," and it will not be frightened the next time round. Together with the cage, you will already have prepared, as we said, some toys to be left down for the dog in its territory. In addition, you will have bought 2 bowls, one for water and one for food, a soft and light collar of fixed type, not those that slip off, and a light lead made of fabric or leather, but not too wide, that would make it heavy. Moreover, it would be a good idea to buy, in addition to the rubber toys left at its disposal, a soft sausage toy for puppies to attach to a length of cord, and 2 small balls with string. These will not be left lying around, but their use will be managed by you and used when you play with your puppy directly, to then be put away by you. The lead. Like the cage, the lead is one of the basic tools of a dog's life. If well managed, the lead will not be a problem for you or your dog, but will instead be the link between both of you. It is for your safety, as well as that of your dog and of others, but also serves to maintain constant communication between you and your dog. The first effect of the collar and lead can be one of annoyance for the puppy. This is why it is better to associate it with something positive and distracting. For example, you can put it on your dog at meal times. The collar will then be left on. Let the lead drag along the ground for a while, maybe while you play with the puppy, without however letting it bite the lead. If necessary, distract it by throwing it a small ball. During the first short walks, do not be severe if the puppy tugs on the lead at times. As soon as it is accustomed to the lead, you will be able to correct it. Instead, in the opposite case of a puppy that refuses to budge and stays behind, you should adopt a cold and decisive tone. Continue walking slowly on ahead, without stopping and without looking behind, and above all, without turning back. And as soon as the puppy reaches your leg in leaps and bounds, stop and give it lots of praise. You should know that there is an unofficial but international rule that dogs are walked on your left. It is therefore best to accustom it straight away to the correct side, rewarding it and praising it each time it is solely on your left side. Naturally, for now, you will be the one to look for the correct position. The game that educates. Dogs love to fight, chase and bite. The soft sausage toy tied up to a long piece of twine will be useful in stimulating its predatory instinct and in letting your dog bite it and thus satisfy its natural instinct. Move the soft sausage toy in front of your dog as if it were a prey and make it miss repeatedly and then let it take it. Praise it. Make it struggle for it by pulling the cord slightly and then let it win and take it for an instant. Catch your dog unawares and get it back and off again in pursuit of the prey. Ideally, 2 people are best for this game. One who holds the puppy on its lead, rewarding and stroking it, while the other manages the prey. Be careful during the teething stage. Tugging sharply may cause your dog pain. The 2 small balls with the twine are used to teach the dog to retrieve and return. For now, the puppy is very small, but you can start to familiarize it with this game. Socialization. After the first week of your puppy's arrival home, the moment to socialize it has arrived. The Rottweiler is a watchdog and guard dog, and this is why it tends to become over-distrustful and overprotective if it is not socialized abundantly. This is an absolute necessity for the owner of a Rottweiler, as is the absolute need to check its dominance, as we will see later on. For now, avoid laziness and get out and about in city centres and public parks. However, a word of caution. Your dog should always be on its lead, and if you decide to let it run around with other dogs in some enclosed parks, do not allow other adult dogs to treat it roughly. Disregard what other owners might say. There are rumours and grossly wrong beliefs that can ruin a young puppy's delicate psychology. If you really want to find it a playmate, look for a dog of more or less the same age, of opposite sex, and ideally belonging to a similar group. If in doubt, do not let them play. A close-up sniff will be a sufficient sign of socialization, where there is no threat or clear dominance, and where there is an attitude of invitation to play. A final piece of advice. Avoid talking to your dog at length. Avoid those importunate monologues in which you attempt to explain the how and why of things. The dog is not a child and will never go through the period of always asking why. Indeed, it has absolutely no interest in knowing why and is unable to understand a conversation. Use few sounds with your dog, always the same ones, and instead learn to hold back words and modulations that are too diversified and too high in tone. Excessive use of words will have the opposite effect, that your voice and words lose importance and meaning.